Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for taking the time to join me today and learning more about the end-to-end digital solutions that we provide here at Waterdrop Digital. To give you a little background on who we are, Waterdrop Digital is the digital arm to the Amatoro Sonoma Media Group, which also owns 5 top radio stations in our market, including Froggy 92.9, The River, Hot 101.7, K-Hits, as well as KSRO News Talk. We also own a business and lifestyle publication called North Bay Biz Magazine. However, our identity here at Waterdrop Digital is rooted in our understanding of branding, media, and marketing. What we don't do is push products. Instead, we focus on understanding who your target audience is and finding the best way to reach them. We provide strategic marketing planning, as well as creative development in producing the ads and the messaging. And we also always perform very thorough campaign management in addition to providing very transparent reporting. At the end of the day, our objective is to provide the most advanced digital technology available so that we can try to exceed the expectations of all of our clients across all markets. A few things that we always want to ask ourselves when starting a digital campaign comes down to 3 very simple areas. We always start with asking, is your website up to date? Is it responsive from a mobile and tablet view? Next, we want to understand, how are you utilizing your Google Analytics to understand your traffic from the back end? Lastly, we ask, do you know how your competitors are leveraging advertising in a space like Facebook? Well, if your answer is no to any of these questions, I would love to follow up with any of you individually and provide more details on how we can improve in some of these areas. As digital experts, it is our job to provide you with access to your custom target audience. Here at Waterdrop Digital, we provide well over a dozen different platforms in which you can do so. We provide social advertising on platforms like Facebook and Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn, and many more. Then we also provide display advertising where we can reach your target audience using retargeting, keyword targeting, or also known as contextual targeting, behavioral targeting, and the use of our managed networks. Now shifting into a very popular space to be in right now, which is video advertising, we provide pre-roll advertising, we provide connected television and over-the-top TV advertising, and we also provide YouTube advertising. Now moving into what I think is our most unique platform, we also can target your audience using mobile advertising, using location-based targeting tactics. And this will be an area that I will be highlighting in today's presentation. Lastly, some other areas of platforms that we utilize are digital audio streaming, as well as search engine marketing, email marketing, and even IP targeting. Now diving straight into the social space, starting with Facebook. One of the best and most favorable reasons for why Facebook is such an effective place for digital advertising is simply that this is where consumers are spending their time. Facebook is a place where your reach can go as broad as you want, or it can be as niche as you want. However, if the objective of your campaign is to reach people where they're spending their time, then Facebook is the place to do so. We have established a very close partnership with Facebook. And with that partnership, we deliver millions of ads through their platform on a monthly basis, which has allowed us to utilize Facebook's first-party data to create that target audience for you. So if you think about it from a consumer standpoint, as a Facebook user, we pour tons of information into Facebook telling them what our interests are, which is great for advertisers. We tell Facebook the places we visit, our interests, our hobbies, the types of restaurants that we like to go to. We share content and recommendations about services and businesses, as well as all of these data points that you see here on this slide. Ultimately, we then compile all this information to create that custom target audience for you. Now, it's important to note that with Facebook, it has really become a space where consumers are using it as a resource to find new content, to share engaging content, which is great for advertisers because it turns your ad into a social dialogue rather than a close-ended message. Moving into LinkedIn advertising. Now, this is really a space for us to target our fellow professionals. It is especially effective when the campaign's objective is to reach businesses as well as decision makers. Similar to Facebook, we get to utilize LinkedIn's first-party data to create your target audience, from using demographics, the location, one's education level, the industries that they've worked in, how many years did they work in that industry, and even more specifically, their job title, their job function, as well as their job seniority. Facebook is also a fantastic space to leverage if your company is looking to hire, as it's a wonderful recruitment tool. You can almost see it as a place for a person to post a social resume, if you will. If you're looking to also utilize it to establish brand awareness amongst other businesses, LinkedIn is also a place where you can do so. With LinkedIn, you can really hone in on the professionals who sees your ads, ensuring that all of your dollars are being spent effectively. Now, moving into Pinterest, which is what I think is probably the funnest place for social advertising. Pinterest is a place where people utilize photos to share their ideas, and it's also used where people look to these photos to discover new ideas as well as find new inspirations to feed their own creative needs. Ads appear very organically in a person's feed as they scroll through the content, and these ads are targeted to reach a consumer who has displayed behaviors that show they would be interested in the likes of your products and services. Some of the areas that we can target your audience on Pinterest is through the use of keywords, interests, demographics, and even better, we have hundreds of pre-built audience segments that you can direct your ads to. I want to take note to the fact that if your campaign goal is to reach household decision makers, then Pinterest is the place you want to be, because we all know that it's the moms who are those decision makers, and Pinterest, the user base is largely skewed towards females. Shifting gears into display advertising, I like to first touch on retargeting, which is really the backbone to digital advertising. Retargeting is a tactic that we actually use across all of our platform, even outside of display advertising, as it's proven to be one of the most effective tactics across digital advertising. How retargeting works is it starts when a person visits your website. Now that person will spend some time on your website browsing through the content, but for whatever reason, they'll eventually leave to visit other websites. Retargeting is the process where we place your ads on the sites that person visits after they leave your website, with the goal of driving them back to your website. Retargeting is especially valuable in the sense that it drives frequency. The idea is that the more times a person sees your ad, the more likely they are to click on that ad. The more times they go to your website because they clicked on that ad, the more engaged they become with your content, your products, and your services, which increases the likelihood of that visitor converting from a website user into a customer. In display advertising, we also utilize contextual keyword targeting, which is utilized by using specific content within a page to reach an individual. By using these lists of keywords and phrases, we can serve ads to specific websites based on those keyword matches. How this works is the exchanges analyze the content of each web page to determine the theme of that website, then matches your ads to that page by using the campaign keywords that you have curated. Now, this allows us to keep your ads very relevant to the user and increasing the likelihood of conversions because we're reaching a person that is already engaging in the same content as your ad is. Now, next, very similar to the approach in keyword targeting, we utilize behavioral targeting, which is where we use a person's previous web browsing history and online activities. We then serve that individual ads that are relevant to those online behaviors. This data is captured and compiled based on search terms that individual is using, the websites that they visit, the online purchases they make, the websites they spend time on and the videos they watch, and ultimately all the content that they consume online. Now, this too allows us to keep our ads very relevant to the user, increasing the likelihood of conversions because we're reaching that person on topics that they've already expressed interest in. Now, lastly, in our display capabilities, there's the use of our managed networks. These are simply organized website lists that are each designated to reach a certain interest or demographic group. These networks are hand-selected, curated lists where your ads are going to strictly run on the sites provided on that list. Our networks have national to international reach, and it also ensures that we reach the demographic we want while cutting the risk of delivering your ads to the irrelevant audiences out there. A few examples of our networks include Home Improvement Network, the Upscale Woman Network, the Affluent Buyer Network, Arts and Upscale Entertainment, Extreme Sports, Health and Wellness, as well as hundreds more. And if there is a network that you're looking for that we don't provide, we can create one for you. Now, moving to what I mentioned earlier as a very popular space to be in, which is video advertising, I like to start with the use of connected television, also known as CTV, and over-the-top video, also known as OTT. Now, this space is really a prime example of showing how traditional media is shifting more and more towards a digital approach. CTV is the delivery of video ads on smart televisions through ad-supported streaming services. Now, OTT is the same exact format and approach, except the delivery is displayed on secondary devices, such as your mobile device, your tablet, your desktop, and your laptops. These non-skippable ads play during commercial breaks when you're streaming your favorite movies and shows on places like Hulu, Pluto, and streaming apps like ABC, Fox, Discovery, and so on. We can target your unique audience using behavioral targeting, interest targeting, location targeting, demographic targeting, a person's viewing habits, as well as their content history. Now, also with video advertising, we can provide YouTube targeting. Now, YouTube is great because it is opt-in video ads that the user decides to engage in by either clicking on that ad or watching that ad in full completion. These ads are in stream either before or during the video the user is watching and is made skippable after 5 seconds of viewing. This ultimately means that you are engaging with an audience of people who are choosing to watch your content. In this platform, you can target by demographic groups, by the device a person is using, their interests and behaviors, and more uniquely, by topic. What I mean by that is we can target your video to appear on video content that pertains to a specific topic or interest. So for instance, if you're targeting the topic of tourism, your ad would show on YouTube to people watching videos related to travel and tourism, which makes YouTube one of the most robust platforms when it comes to targeting capabilities across all digital platforms. Now, moving into what I really think is our most unique capability, which is our ability to target your audience through mobile devices using location-based targeting. This is also known as mobile polygoning. With mobile polygoning, we create your target audience based off of based off of locations. And the reason why we use locations is simply because the places that a person chooses to visit is a huge indicator of that person's interest. For instance, you will find me at the likes of a Target or a TJ Maxx almost all too often, but never are you going to find me at a place like a Home Depot or Friedman's. Now, this tells you a little bit about my personal interests. So let's take that thought one step further. Let's say I'm shopping at Target one day for home goods. I pulled out my mobile device to check the weather app. And inside that weather app, I see an ad that says 50% discount on all home goods at TJ Maxx Home Goods. Now, in that moment, I don't know about you guys, but I would personally ditch my Target shopping cart and book it over to TJ Maxx. Now, in this instance, TJ Maxx has successfully identified me as a potential customer solely based off the fact that my mobile device was located at Target, one of their competitors' locations. So when we're working with our wineries, we ask ourselves, where are we going to find your target audience of individuals most likely to become a customer? Whether that means they're purchasing your wine online or they're making a reservation at your tasting room, these are the individuals that you want to reach. Places like competing wineries and their tasting rooms, even some BevMo locations, as well as the hotels and fine dining restaurants near your winery. These are the places that come to mind for where we would find your target audience of wine lovers. Now, how the Polygon technology comes into play is after we create this list of locations of interest, we draw an electronic fence around each of these locations, or it can even be an event. As long as it has an address, we can draw the location, we can draw that polygon fence. Now, once these fences are drawn, we are now able to capture the mobile device ID of every individual who enters these locations, as well as being able to keep these device IDs, which differentiates from geofencing. With polygoning, we keep these devices for future use so that we can serve them ads at any time, anywhere, even after they leave these locations. We also have the ability to do what's called a 24-month look back, where we can capture the device IDs of every individual who went to these locations going 24 months back. Now, this tactic has been especially useful in the age of COVID, as it has allowed us to engage with people that went to these places in 2019, when winery visits were more frequent and people conducted activities more regularly outside the premise of their homes. We can also now create what's called a lookalike audience based off the mobile audience that we just built from those mobile device IDs. A lookalike audience is when we take an existing audience, such as the mobile audience we just built, and we look at that audience to find behaviors, traits, and patterns that these individuals share. And then we find a brand new audience that shares the same exact behaviors and interests as this mobile audience. Now, this now gives you a brand new audience who mirrors an interested audience of that's already expressed their intent to purchase your products or at least be interested in your products, which allows you to really further your reach in a very relevant way. With a mobile Polygon campaign, we can deliver your ads in one of two places. The first is on a mobile browser, and the second is inside an application. However, I must stress that this is simply the tipping point for how we can reach your custom target audience, because a mobile device ID is actually one of 3 match keys that allows us to reach your audience no matter the device they're using or the platform that they're on. Now, with that list of device IDs we just captured, we can now find these individuals on their social platforms, such as their Facebook, their Pinterest, their Snapchat, as well as on places like their secondary devices and even on their smart televisions. How do we do so? Well, we start by taking that mobile device ID and we match it to its overnight location. Most nights, that device will reside with that person in their home. That home has an IP address, and we can match the mobile device to that home IP address, which now actually allows us to see all the other devices using that home IP address. If they're on their phone, we'll reach them there. If they're on their smart televisions, streaming their favorite shows on an Amazon Fire Stick, we'll reach them there as well. So if you're already someone who's doing something like a social campaign or a video campaign, you can really see mobile integration as a way to complement what you're already doing. After all, a social platform provides us with first-party data, which is extremely important information for advertisers as it allows us to understand a consumer's behaviors and interests. However, having these mobile devices as a match ID has really unlocked the door for us to reach your custom target audience no matter where they are or what platform that they're using. Here is actually a case study from our work with one of our wine clients in their first quarter of 2020. When the campaign first started last February, our goal was to drive visitation to their tasting room. So in that first month, everything went great. We were actually able to book out their tasting room. Then March hits, COVID hits, and everything shuts down. So then we sat down with that client and discussed what other ways we can use the mobile to social platform that they signed up for. We then decided to shift the focus into increasing their direct to consumer online sales. These are the results that were yielded from our efforts where we use location targeting, the creation of lookalike audiences from their mobile audience, and even creating a lookalike audience from their wine members. And combined with creative messaging, we were able to establish these results in front of you. So as you can see in the upper left-hand corner, on the mobile ad side, their click-through rate grew to be 13 times the national average. Now to its right, you'll see that their Facebook ads grew to be 4 times the click rate of the national average. We were also able to drive the majority of the new customers that they were seeing that quarter. And to the right of that are some basic metrics that are included in your report on a monthly basis, which provides much more detailed information. But just to give you a snapshot of some key metrics, we always want to know how many ads were served, how many of those ads were clicked on, and what that click-through rate was. So from a revenue standpoint, I can tell you that in that quarter, this client was able to not only meet their direct-to-consumer goals, but they actually exceeded their direct-to-consumer goals by quite a bit. They attributed that success all to our campaign because we were the only marketing avenue that they were investing in at that time. Now, needless to say, they then later renewed for an annual campaign with us in 2020, as we're actively working with them now, establishing very similar results. So ultimately, at the end of the day, mobile polygoning really comes down to two key factors. One, you know you're targeting an audience of people with indicated interest in wine and like products based off the locations that they visited. And two, you're reaching your target audience where they're spending their time. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the bread and butter to mobile polygoning. Now, I know I just shared a lot of information with you, and to help you all digest it all, if you are one who registered for this event, I will be sending this presentation out to you as a follow-up. I look forward to receiving questions from you, and if you're interested in discussing our capabilities further, I would love to schedule a one-on-one call with you individually. I want to thank you all again for giving me this opportunity to share more information about Waterdrop Digital, and I hope you all have a great rest of the day.